It is. We're talking with Stephanie Sandifer. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
And you are the author of a book about wikis for school leaders.
Right.
Oh, as a matter of fact, that's the name of the book, Wiki for School Leaders.
Right.
It's not just what it's about. So tell us a little bit about your book. Why do school leaders need to know about wikis?
First of all, the title is Wikis for School Leaders, but technically I consider teachers leaders as well. The focus is on professional use of wikis, so not just using wikis in the classroom, but how do we use wikis in all of our professional work, doing collaborative lesson planning, doing school improvement plans together, everything that we collaborate on that traditionally clogs up our email inboxes when we start sending the files out to everybody and asking for input. But wikis are just such a simple, easy to use tool. They're great for use in the classroom, but I hesitate when I do workshops on wikis in the classroom. I always emphasize to the educators in the room to start using them for themselves first before they use them in the classroom. I like to use the analogy of driver's education. That we don't learn how to drive a car from someone who's never done it before, and the same is true of wikis.
Well, I don't know. I kind of learned from a kid that was teaching me how to drive, and well, we ran into a fence.
Oh,
so
nice.
I guess probably you're
so
probably
that
right.
Yeah. And what I see happen in my work as a technology coach, when I go into classrooms and I see teachers trying to use tools in the classroom that they don't use in their professional work, we typically see the technology layered on traditional teaching methods. So you still see a lot of lecturing, you still see a lot of worksheets. Sure, they're using some shiny new toy to do it, but the way the learning and the teaching is happening in the classroom hasn't changed.
Right, so you're looking at wikis as one of those transformative pieces of technology.
Right. And when educators, when leaders on the campus and the teachers start to use the tool in their own work, they start to understand the subtlety of the tool and how it can be used authentically in the classroom as opposed to just a tool for doing projects.
So give me an example of, first of all, give me one that, like a sample teacher wiki that stood out in your mind when you were writing this book. What was one that really, or maybe one that you've created that was pretty good?
There are a couple. When I first started using wikis in my work with teachers, one of the first ones that I put together was when I was working as a school improvement coordinator, and I worked with a team of, we had smaller learning communities on that campus, and so I worked with a team of called SLC coordinators. So these were teacher leaders. And we used the wiki to house all of our work. So everything we were trying to roll out, we'd build it in the wiki. Resources that we were gathering, we'd keep the wiki was kind of like our binder. And then a few years later, I moved away from a campus and ended up working in the curriculum department at the district level with a huge network of literacy coaches. And up until that point, every year at the beginning of the year, the entire network got the big thick binder, the literacy coach.
Everybody was doing their own thing. And
yeah. So we put together a huge wiki. We stopped giving out the big 3-ring binders with all the resources. We put it all in the wiki because, to be truthful about it, everything we were sharing in the binder was available online. You know, things like research reports, things of that nature.
Right.
It was all online in PDF form. So we were able to link to it. We started building in things in the wiki where all of the coaches could highlight things that were going on in their campuses. We had some coaches that would actually start posting newsletters that they were sharing with their teachers in their campuses.
So they stared growing it on their own.
Right.
Which was kind of cool. Was that expected when you started doing that, or
that was the goal?
That was the goal, yeah.
Now, realistically, of course, with any tool like this, you have a certain percentage that use it strictly as I'm just going to go to it and get the information off of it. They're not really contributing much.
Consumer, okay.
And we've got the smaller percentage that they tinker with it a little bit, they'll put something up on a page, and then we had the really small percentage of people who are really active on the wiki and posting a lot, which I totally expected, and I eventually resigned from that position, but while I was in there, it grew. So those are two different examples. So one's a district level example, and another's a campus level example. and while I've seen this, but I haven't been directly involved in the development of a wiki for this purpose. But one great tool, or great way to use it, if I were an assistant principal on a campus, let's say, and I was responsible for getting teachers to send me lesson plans. How's that done traditionally? They either email them or
leave them in a box.
Print them out and put them in a box.
Yeah.
I would say, let's post them all to the wiki, and then I could subscribe to RSS feeds, get RSS feeds when new lesson plans are posted, and so it's just a great way to kind of become paperless.
Do you think people start using a technology and they may not be successful with it at first, and so then they kind of give up on it and they say, oh, I really don't see the use for this, and then they go, well, I really don't need a wiki or a blog or something like that. Do you see that happening?
Yeah, it's typically that's one of the reasons why people stop using a tool. It's just too hard to use. When I do workshops on this, or if I'm sitting there coaching somebody on it and showing them how to set up a wiki one-on-one, not to plug a specific tool, but I like to use Wikispaces just because it's very easy to use. I think it's for somebody who's just beginning. There's nothing too complicated about it.
Small learning curve. There's
very small learning curve. There's a lot you can do with Wikispaces. It's a little bit more complex. But for the basic purposes, and a lot of the examples that I share in the book, all you have to know is how to hit the edit button, use the editing toolbar, and you're good to go.
But basically, I mean, pretty much any wiki that you'd go to, a PB wiki or Wikispaces or any of those, they're very, very similar.
Exactly.
And so it's kind of like driving a car. If you know how to drive a Ford, you pretty much know how to drive a Chevy.
Right.
There's not too much variation on that theme, and so.
Yeah.
So are you seeing administrators starting to use these for professional development purposes, or have you ever seen that done?
It's usually someone right below the principal that's pushing it. And there are some that adopt it and say this is great. They may not initiate it. Like I said, it's usually either their tech specialist or a tech coach, or maybe a dean of instruction or an assistant principal, somebody that knows about them and starts using it. Typically, what I see is it grows organically from grassroots.
Right.
Even if it's just a department, one department starts using it, and then others start to see how it's
And that's actually kind of cool, because that shows me that it's not somebody pushing it from above.
Right.
That peers are starting to understand how it's used and things like that, and that's more powerful, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, I do recommend in the book that there be a two-pronged approach. Let the grassroots stuff happen, but there needs to be active support, active advocacy for it from the top.
And some modeling, maybe.
And some modeling,
yeah. Some modeling's always good.
That would be awesome. And then also the other thing that I always like to recommend is, if you're initiating it, regardless of what level you are, if you're department chair, assistant administrator, whoever you are, whatever you're trying to share on the wiki, stop sharing it elsewhere. So
they're kind of forced to go there.
Right.
Yeah.
Say it's on the wiki. If someone says, "Where's the handbook on this?" It's on the wiki.
Psychologists call that passive aggressive, aren't they? Isn't that kind of it's passive aggressive behavior.
Yeah.
Tell us about the book a little bit before we stop here. Tell us about the book. Where can you get it, and all that kind of stuff.
It's published by Ion Education. You can go to ioneducation.com and you'll find. On their website, they've got the print version, and they also have an ebook version. But you can also get it on Amazon, and I believe the other major online retailers.
I got it on iBooks, so
great.
I saw
See,
it
I
on
didn't
iBooks.
know.
There you go.
It's gradually getting distributed elsewhere.
That's great. So you've been successful with it. You've been happy with the.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to sell 1 million more. How's that?
That'd be awesome. That'd be excellent. Yeah.
Stephanie, thanks for talking to us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.